Hello again. Welcome back, everyone. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. As always, we have upgraded our equipment, as I've been shouting at the hilltops, since the start of these new readings. It's finally good to have something where all the cards seem to, you know, adjust and focus in all of the readings. So that's good. We're going to hopefully get this going and make sure everything's all right. We are now going to be doing the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising from now until mid-February next month, of course. And we are now slowly entering into the sign of Aquarius, which is going to talk a lot about innovation, change, restructuring, a little bit of bellicose communication as Uranus. I think it's, it's going to be Pluto and Sun, both in Aquarius, are going to be in conjunct. And then additionally, there's going to be a few other types of aspects. Mercury is also in the house of Aquarius as well. So with all that mixed together, I think what we're going to see is a lot of madness being spoken in the in the natural world, and hopefully this doesn't lead to any major conflicts. But as we see what's taking place in Greenland at the moment, that does seem to be a little bit of the best way I can describe it without sounding too crude is that kind of feels like Donald Trump is channeling his inner Felice Johnson. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, the choice is yours, basically. And we'll see exactly what results from that, because it now seems like it's stirring the pot, and the international community is becoming fragmented because of that. That's just one example of how that would take place. There's a big struggle of power. Nevertheless, what we're going to look at, Pisces, for you, we're going to look at basically what is going to be taking place for this time in your life. And hopefully, from what I see from the reading currently, it looks very good. So let's go ahead and get to it, starting off with the basics of the reading. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, share, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. And additionally, if you'd like to contribute monetarily, which always goes a little bit, but also a long way, you can do so at the PayPal link in the description box below. I'll be more than happy for that. And thank you for your time, energy, and support as well. That's really all I ask for. We're going to now start to take a look at what is taking place for you, Pisces. First off, we have the Judgment as your main card. So with the Judgment, we talk a little bit about, the divine finally intervening in your life and what it feels like. It feels like for you, there is a sense of recompense. There is a sense of things are finally moving forward. You're getting a judgment call on all the things that you've done, all the actions that you've taken in the past. And if those have been conducive to a positive, healthy life and a good lifestyle, then this is what you'll receive. If it's going to be a bit negative, then the universe is going to step in and create divine intervention for that specific situation. Because what I see here is that I see that you're trying to get a sense of balance in your life, with this Justice card being the challenge for this particular period in time. Now, when we're trying to get a rein on things taking place in our life, whether that is through finances, whether that is through romantic relationships, bringing balance mentally and getting clarity enough to be able to understand exactly where you want to proceed in your life, it's going to be important for you to make that judgment call so that that takes place. It's important for you to do that. And I think a sound mind also leads to a sound body as well. Now, we have in the recent past, we have the Sun in the reverse. So what this talks about is, if I can pull a clarity card, we have the Moon in the reverse as well. So it's almost like there is a push-pull. There was in the recent past a bit of a lack of clarity on things that you were trying to manifest, materialize in your life. There's a lack of purpose, a lack of sense of direction, and other kinds of things which were a bit obscure, obfuscated during this particular period. Now, however, the Sun in the reverse shows that made you deeply unhappy. And what I feel is that you were kind of going through a bit of a depression age, and you were doing your best to overcome that, come out of that funk, and be able to get into the energy which you're going into in the near future, which I think is actually quite impressive. So with all of this, in the near future, I see all of this madness coming to a bitter end. Well, not a bitter end, but a good end. So we have the world, and this is also clarified by the Five of Swords in the reverse, which indicates an end to mental conflict, conflict with other people, conflict around you, and all sorts of things dealing with the intellect. So if you've been indecisive about something, finally that impasse is coming to an end. If you've been fighting with other people, or if people have been backstabbing you, or if you felt like a general feeling that things are never going your way, well, that's coming to an end, because I do see the Two of Cups. Now, that doesn't necessarily insinuate to me that it'll be a relationship. It could be. Maybe you're entering into a relationship, someone that is going to be, very helpful for you and actually be a good team player. But it could also be that your head and your heart are finally united. You're feeling reconnected to your sense of self. And that, to me, is better than any love that another person can show to you once you are finally, back on your square, if you want to say it that way. This is going to allow you to create a good foundation for yourself, to which you can start building on all the other things in life. And to me, that's extremely important, because what I see here at the very core of yourself, things have not been going so well. So this is card number 20. No, it's card number 10. This is the Wheel of Fortune. And this tells us that things have felt very stuck, stagnant. You feel like a lot of your progress was blocked by external factors, things not seeming to go your way, and like a bit of a stroke of bad luck. Clarifying this, we have the Seven of Swords, whether this was people outside your circle of friends, inside your circle of friends, situations in general, possibly bosses, possibly people that you were interacting with. It was almost like two things were taking place. Number one, you felt backstabbed, betrayed. You felt that people were being unscrupulous. But on another, in order for you to overcome this Wheel of Fortune, you had to essentially step back and start to strategize on how best to overcome this situation. Now, moving forward into this, you had the Ace of Wands as what is known about your current circumstances. And what's currently known is that with the Ace of Wands in the reverse, your progress was blocked, but also it felt like you were having a bit of a false start. Maybe you were losing your motivation to do stuff. And a lot of this started to create a bit of disappointment, a bit of hurt, sadness that began to start to materialize. And that's what's kind of been guiding your energy thus far, trying to get through the hurt that had, built up, kind of begin to block your heart chakra. If, I don't know why I'm hearing that kind of expression, but it felt like it was blocking your heart chakra. And you were feeling closed off to the world, detached, disassociated. And, Pisces are good for that. That's one of their strongest points. But on the other hand, I think that you did want to reconnect to self. And for you, getting over this impasse, having that breakthrough is finally one of the best things that could have happened to you. So, say for example, you went a long period, it was difficult for you to find work. Every time you put in an application, people ghosted you. Employers gave you a couple of interviews and then they just vanished without a trace. And in some cases, like they may have not given you the benefit of the doubt in your capabilities. So now you're making it through that impasse, you're finally reaching out. You're getting a good job that's going to help you reconnect with your sense of higher self. And I see the Strength card at the bottom, which is great because that means you have been strong throughout this entire ordeal and you have actually done your best to circumnavigate the challenges that you were facing with this. The Strength card is all about keeping going, keeping moving after the Chariot sets off with card number 7. Keeping going until you can finally take a rest and then go into hermit mode, where after you have moved away from the city, you can take some time to reflect, pause, rest, and do all of the things that are essential to you, taking care of that body and mind in that Virgoian card, which is the Hermit. Well, this card is the Leo. This is your time to shine as well. And that's what I kind of see taking place for you, because what we have here at the very end of all of this, we have two amazing cards for you, Pisces. We have number 1, the Empress, And then we have the, what is that? Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands kind of looks like a little bit of a wormhole, like a conduit that you can travel through in order to make it to the next stage in your life. Because after the Four of Wands, it's the Five of Wands. You're getting into that next challenge that you're going to train for and fight for and compete for. And right now, you're celebrating that milestone that you have finally achieved, which is going to hopefully grow and give you a sense of self-worth that will be quite valuable to, your understanding of what it means to finally be reconnected back to the world at large. Now, I've pulled also two cards here. We have two cards coming from Moonology, which talks a little bit about a new start is coming. So relationship, job, whatever, it's the algorithm. This applies to your life in whatever way it sees fit. But that new start is coming. It's a new moon. New moons are all about the beginnings of things taking shape, filling up that lunar energy, taking that light from the sun and being able to reflect that into the world at large, and to be able to make an influence on the world by finally receiving that light and clarity. We also have Yesod, which comes from the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations deck. And this talks quite a bit about the root chakra. So in the Kabbalistic tree of life, we talk about different spheres on the Kabbalistic tree of life. And this deals with the root connection. This is all about feeling finally grounded in something that is going to help you to grow. A tree without roots cannot grow. And so for your specific situation, your tree is finally taking shape and growing roots. And that's how you're going to expand and grow and build and develop and take the light of the sun with those leaves, those beautiful foliage that you have, and finally begin to start to grow your legacy. Now, whatever it is that's taking place in your life, you can tell me that in the comments below. But again, I'm telling the kind of framework which is taking place in your life, the energies that are pushing you towards certain directions. And this is going to be what is going to help you to realize the specific goal that you have in mind and the one that you have intended to manifest. That said, that's pretty much it. That just flowed really, really well, the way that all of this came out. And I really appreciate that. And I wish you all the best of luck, for this particular period, Pisces. I know Sagittarius was all sorts of like doom and gloom. Pisces, yours, on the other hand, seems to be quite straightforward. Things will work themselves out. There was a bit of a bumpy start at first, but you are now moving forward with making it past the difficult part of your life and now stepping into a more positive energy where you can smile and love and laugh again. So all the best to you, hats off to you, and keep making the good progress forward. Thank you so very much for joining me for this reading. I hope it's been a pleasure, and I hope that you have gained something from it. Until next time, love and light. Take care.